Welcome to On the Brink with Andy Simon. Thanks for joining us today. Hi, I'm Andy Simon, and as you know, I'm here to help you get off the brink. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's a time for you to see, feel, and think in some new ways, because sometimes we just need a hand to think about things in new ways when things are changing. Everything is changing. I don't care whether it's AI or hybrid workplaces or new generations. Things are coming to us, and we need to know, how do I do differently? And I go looking for wonderful people who can help you do just that. So with me today, I have Dr. Dionne Baker. Now, this is a wonderful woman that you're going to love listening to. You love listening to all of them. You send me emails telling me that. But Dr. Baker came to us through Edie Frazier, my co-author on our book, Women Mean Business. And Edie is raving about Dionne and the work that she's doing. Her company is DB's Organics. She's a mom and she's a PhD medical scientist, and she wanted to do something, she'll tell you about it, to change the way kids eat and the things that they have and our society treats them. So we're going to do business differently and create a legacy that will impact future generations. She tells us at DB's, we believe in the potential of a vibrant world where differences are celebrated, kids are encouraged to be themselves, and we are all nourished with a rainbow of fruits and vegetables straight from the earth. You know, if God didn't make it, don't eat it. It's really a cool time to think about it. Her colorful world mission at DB's is to support all kids to confidently step into their best version of themselves. And they've created products that are certified organic, mindfully sweetened, never compromised on a taste or the joy. You know, kids are kids. Let's give them the things that are good for them and help them to be fun. She's a certified B Corporation. That means they do business a little differently, and they measure success not just by the products they sell, but by the lives they impact. Cool, huh? So we're going to talk about a company of purpose, a B Corporation, a company that has seen a problem and come up with innovations. We preach, take your observations and your curiosity and turn them into innovations. You're an anthropologist. Dionne is an anthropologist at heart who sees things through a fresh lens. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk to you and share ideas.
Your bio is a wonderful short bio, and it's fine, but nobody knows your journey as well as you do. Can you share it with us?
Absolutely. So my journey is one that I'm in a place I never expected to be, like many of us. So I was doing a PhD in an area of research called maternal fetal toxicology. So I studied the impacts of drugs and exposure during pregnancy on fetal development, and how does that impact the lives going ahead. So for example, if you're exposed to what we call a teratogen or a toxin, that baby may not only have different physical ailments after, but may not be able to reach their full potential. So imagine having a diagnosis of ADHD or autism or lower IQ than you could have potentially reached because of exposure to different things during pregnancy. And that really, I started to live by that and really understand, what am I feeding my own children?
Mhm.
And we took especially our son, off of all artificial everything. We really fed him from the earth. Like you said, if God didn't make it, why are we putting it in our bodies?
Yep.
And so that really spurred an idea. I was in the kitchen one day with my two kids as I'm working on my PhD, and I'm looking at them. One was making tea, the other was making popsicles, and one of them said, "Mommy, let's make teasicles." And it literally, I remember the spot I stood in the kitchen, and a light bulb went off, and I thought, oh my gosh, I could create a company that's got a heart and a soul, and I can teach my kids to how you build something in that way that has meaning, but it also provides nourishment. And what we bring into our bodies really impacts every single cell in our body. So why not, instead of degrading our cells and causing all sorts of problems and challenges as we age from in utero all the way through to the end of our life, why not nourish that, even when it comes to treats, with ingredients that are not full of man-made chemicals like
Mhm.
pesticides and herbicides? And that's the core and the base that started this. We don't even make tea popsicles anymore. We only make shelf stable, which means you freeze at home snacks for families that are all based from organic fruits. And that's been my journey. And I always say I went to school to be an academic, and I went to the school of hard knocks to be an entrepreneur.
But I don't know if you know Maxine Clark, who founded the Build-A-Bear workshops, but she tells a similar story. It's something in our mind. She talks about being out with her niece in a store, and the little girl said, "Oh, we can make those," and out of it came Build-A-Bear workshops. And so you are among many women, I'll say men too, but who can see through a different lens about what's possible. Give us a little bit about, so how do you go from tesicles to a big business that's growing beautifully to help kids eat healthy? It's not by, I think we can, it's what did you do?
Well, it's interesting. When I went into this, I was very green, like probably a lot of entrepreneurs are, and especially female entrepreneurs who are doing this from an idea where they see there's a need in the market, especially ones that feel a need in the market and they feel they also want to be able to give this to their own kids. And so I think that for me, it was really, what can I do to make a difference? And I've been through many hard times where you're crying in a pillow and you think, oh my God, I can't do this. It's too hard, to the next day turning the pillow over and saying, okay, it's dry this morning. I'm going to wake up and today is a new day to face the challenges. What am I going to create? What am I going to do? How do I surround myself with people that are wise and in different areas and might stimulate ideas? Because I can't do it all by myself. There's
Yep.
no way I could do it by myself. Even the creativity and the spurring of ideas comes from, it can be from anybody, from a kid to one of the, you know, most successful entrepreneur advisors that I have. You never know where that can come, but to spur that creativity, you need wise people around you.
Talk to that about that a little more. I taught entrepreneurship at Washington University in St. Louis, and I had 18 wonderful students. 9 had been valedictorians of their high school class. These were no slouches. But we talked a lot about entrepreneurs have the joy of having many ideas, and then they need a type A who can organize those ideas and get them into a format that can turn into a market that actually delivers results. Did you find that when you're surrounding yourself with people, did you have to choose them to be like you or to be different from you, to complement you? Well, how did it work?
I would say to compliment me. Areas where, if you can admit this isn't an area of strength for me, and I'm going to find people who have this as their strength, their natural strength. So you're right. I would see the big shining star of an idea and go, wow, we can do this. And then I have realists around me, some of who I, we challenge each other, we battle sometimes, who say, well, I don't know if that's quite right, but we can do this. So I kind of have this analogy of a wheel.
Uh-huh.
And if you're on a bike and your wheel has all the different spokes and they're all straight and they're moving and the wheel moves pretty well, if some of those spokes are broken or you're not kind of doing them the right way, that wheel is going to clunk to a stop.
Yep.
And so, I've got an amazing person in finance. I have someone incredible who's leading our brand and our marketing. I have someone who's leading our innovation, who can take that idea and bring it to reality. I have someone in quality assurance, someone in operations. And it's not that you need those as each department, but you need those minds around you as you start to build and grow and grow, and that team starts to grow. So where we now have about close to 40 people on our team, um, and they all fill needs that there's no way I could do on my own. And if I had to do it, I'd probably cringe every moment of trying to do it.
But
So
you're a marvelous leader. Do you find as a woman you're leading them? Do they find that you're leading them differently than perhaps otherwise, or like a man might?
I hear that all the time. I do hear that there's a big appeal to work with us because we're actually very, very person centric. I always say to people, hey, if you got to go to your kids' program or a field trip, go for it. It doesn't matter. We're not a 9 to 5. We're a get our work done when we get our work done, and we support each other. If someone's having an operation or they've got to take their father in for surgery, um, it's we're good with that. We're remote. I trust our team members, and we're one of the most prolific teams in the CPG space. So it really comes, I think, from the leadership of trust, authenticity, and a culture of quality
Mhm.
in what we do and care of what we do. And so I've actually, every team member that joins DB's, if they're with us for a year, they have the opportunity to have ownership in the company. So every single person gets options and and I see them as a partner in our business together. So I think that's the appeal that a lot of female founders and female leaders, I didn't do it to be intentionally different. I did it because that's what my heart and my head said, this is the best way to lead.
And the response clearly has been an embracing of your values. You find mostly you hire well and they catch on right away and they can't do enough and they expand their days. I mean, this is the kind I've been EVP of a bank and the bank always did really well because we were able to engage everybody in what had to get done, not because 9 to 5 was when we did it. So I'm listening to it and I'm going, yes, this is really a very bold way to do it. When you're looking at the business today, it's different than when you started. When did you start it?
So the idea came in 2012. That little light bulb moment was in the spring of 2012. I incorporated the business by June of 2012, started innovating. And I think back and I think, oh my God, did I have a lot of energy? But, and by 2013, we were in market with our
That's
first product.
that's a real fast turner from zero to that is great. So let's get a sense of what you see the markets looking like today. Are they coming to you? Are they shifting to want to get the healthy food? Give us a sense of the trends that you see because that's real helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen, this has been a challenging time for many people. The basket size, so the total amount that people are spending in the grocery store is down. It's a challenge right now. And it has been a challenging time for us the last year to really understand the market. We do make a product that is a snack product. It's not a bread and butter that you don't need it every day in your pantry. And so, how do we become relevant? And when things are a little tougher, how do we look inward and make sure we have the foundation? How do we make sure we're staying true to our roots and authenticity as an organic brand? How do we make sure that all these things are strong so that when we go into next year and we keep going forward, even if it's been hard, we're really true to who we are. And we take that time instead of kind of cowering down and wanting to go in like a snail and cover up when it's tough to say, hey, am I looking at the foundation of what we've got and making sure we have the strength to go forward and that we're innovating and creating and stimulating our team members as we go forward?
Is your consumer the kids or the parents or both?
Both. It's really interesting. I would have thought it's parents, but it actually is 50% of the people buy it for themselves and 50% buy it for their kids. So I
Okay,
have a
okay.
feeling
That
they may buy
parents,
it.
they want a sweet too, also. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because I think people will think, oh, it's just a snack. It doesn't matter that it's organic, not organic. Well, can you imagine how many snacks we have? We're putting a lot of that into our bodies. And so understanding what that might do to every aspect, down to the cellular level of your body, it's really important. And putting forever chemicals and chemicals like herbicides and pesticides in our bodies, especially growing bodies, we really need to think about it. And it's finally occurring to everybody at every age to look at that and consider, even if you're in your 70s or 80s, you want that longevity and the clarity of mind and clarity in your body to fill yourself up. Like, I love popcorn. So, I'm buying organic popcorn and I'm putting nutritional yeast on it because I know that's a better way to do it. So we're not going to stay away from unhealthy stuff, but we might as well do it in a healthier way. And so that's really the foundation of everything we create.
I think it's very exciting. Well, one of the things that we've been talking to are one of the kinds of companies are companies of purpose. It sounds like if I follow your stream, you see yourself as having purpose beyond simply making a product and selling it.
Absolutely. So since that light bulb moment, I always said DB's is going to create organic products and we're going to live by a mission. But at the same time, I use my children as a barometer of success. Would I be proud and at least be able to explain, because sometimes there's hard decisions you have to make, but explain it to my kids with pride that
Mhm.
this is the decision we're making. And if the answer is I absolutely could not, then I really need to question, is this how I should be building my business? And so that barometer is a simple one. And I think that that will lead you to the right place. But, in 2014, I was at the Natural Products Expo, which is a big, the biggest internal trade show. And I came across the B Corp. And that was when they were a tiny little company, just early stages. And I kind of went, wow,
Wow.
this is everything we are. And almost overnight, we were a certified B Corp, I think one of the first in Canada and one of the first in CPG. And we've lived by that and every aspect of that since that time.
It's interesting. Your strong core values actually lead you to be who you are as a brand, as a company, as individuals to do better, not just to make money. This is a very exciting time for you. As you look to the future, are there new ideas coming out? Is AI going to be helpful? I mean, what do you see coming next? I'm doing some research on belonging, inclusion, and the impact of AI on companies. We may talk about it offline because I truly think that people like the ones you hired want to belong to a company that has purpose. And I'm wondering what AI and other technologies might do to that. But for you, what do you see coming?
What I see coming is innovation and really trying to keep our team strong. It's really interesting when you bring up AI, and I have a son who really uses ChatGPT in a very big way, a really interesting way to help even guide how he studies and how he looks at the world. But I say to him, but people will always want people.
Mhm.
And people need that connection. So I think we as a society, from my personal perspective, we need to have that personal interaction and connection. So how does AI incorporate into that? How does AI incorporate into what we're innovating? I have a box right here of kind of new products that we're bringing out, which is I don't know if you remember Fun Dip when
Yes.
you're younger. So
Yes.
we've created the first type of product, kind of similar to that, but in our DB's way, called Dip'ems, and which is
I like
organic
the title.
fruit.
Dipums from DB's. Oh, cool. Right, finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What
no,
and how did that come out? Was that
that came about from one of my partners who, so we've never ever taken institutional money at DB's. We're, team and friends and family, and my husband and I owned, in fact our whole family owns part of it. And Becky, who has been with me the longest actually in the company, came up with this idea a few years ago. Let's create something like organic fruit. We buy lots of organic fruit. Let's take the water out of that and create something. And that's where the idea spurred from. And so it's like a little stick, a little organic fruit stick, and you dip it in the powder, and it's just delicious. And so I think innovation, making something bright and colorful, and as you can see, it's that kind of, sorry, it's a bit fuzzy, but
it's
it's
okay.
it's colorful, and that's really what DB's is about: is creating all the fruits from nature. Bringing and innovating. And then I see just this continuation of building out our team. We have a program called Dream Launcher, and that came out of the hope that my husband is an ophthalmologist, and his dream was always to join Orbis, which is a flying eye hospital, and help the blind in third world countries to see again.
Uh-huh.
And the idea was that when DB's is big enough to fund a mission for him to go on Orbis, that's when I know we've really arrived.
Uh-huh.
And then that Dream Launcher, so that became Dream Launcher, and every single team member in DB's has the opportunity to make dreams of giving
Uh-huh.
come true. So if I talk about Eddie's dream, and his cousin's daughter had a horrible sarcoma, and she had weeks or months to live. And I cried with him, and we chatted, and I said, this is why Dream Launcher is. It's to make dreams of giving come true. So please phone and find out what her dream anything. What is it? And she wanted a birthday party at her local movie theater. So I said, well, that's an easy one. Done. And the movie theater found out, and they rented her a limousine to pick up all her friends. They
Oh,
found out that what we were doing, and they kind of paid it forward. And she brought all her friends together and celebrated her birthday, her 13th birthday. And it was an incredible day for her to be together with her friends and make a dream come true. And it was the last time she was with all her friends before she passed away.
yeah.
And it's those are the reasons that keep me going.
Mhm.
And this is the why. There has to be something beyond, I'm going to make a product and a company for profit. I'm going to do this with a heart and a soul. And it's not built as a marketing mechanism. It's built as something that fulfills each of us in everything we do.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. You've given me goosebumps about having that. Simon Sinek can talk about the why, but I do think when it comes alive, it isn't a word. It's an extraordinary emotional feeling of having a reason to be. And it isn't
Exactly.
simply to make more pops and make kids healthy, but also to do it in a way that we're building better together. I love it. Um,
Exactly.
you and I talked a little bit. Is there anything you wish you hadn't done, you would do differently? Anything to give people perspective that nothing is easy and it isn't a straight line?
It is absolutely not a straight line. We've had a few years where it's been really tough. And, I learn every single year. I just said, we're building this culture of quality. And when you ramp up, you need to make sure you're always looking at that. And I think I have this saying, it's not the challenge you face, it's how you face the challenge.
Uh-huh.
And I think there have been so many things that I've thought to myself, oh God, if I could just go backward and do it again, I would do it by doing this. I would pay more attention to that. Um, there's so many things from, wishing you could be with your family more as you're traveling to, there's so many things. And I think for everybody it's different, and it's special, and it can be really, 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 really painful. And I think that earlier days I used to keep emotions in my heart, and I didn't want my husband or my family to know when things were really tough. And I learned that I need to be vulnerable myself, and it's okay to cry and to say I'm hurting and I need help, because I would think it reflected on me not being able to be successful. And I now realize that no, I can be myself and I can be authentic and I can cry and I can show that this is hard. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that I have failed. Because for me, failure was not an option. And failure, for me, there was it was right below success was failure. Like I didn't give myself much room.
But here, when you're talking and the listener or the viewer thinks about it, that is the way life is. And every success, there's a moment where it could go a different way, and every failure turns around into the new opportunity. Life is a journey of moves, lefts and rights, and detours, but you need to keep going. And the destination is really, I'm not sure there are destinations, but there are moments where you feel like, if your husband can go on his orbit trip, you have reached a destination. There's sort of something that's bigger than the product or the process or the profits themselves. There's some reason for us to do this, and there are on many levels. This has been so absolutely an honor. I'm having such fun, and you are inspiring me to rise higher. And take a bunch of folks with me, because one of the things we learned writing Women Mean Business is a recurring theme in there is, as I rise, I lift others. You do the same, don't you?
Absolutely. The rise doesn't mean anything unless others are with you.
Yep. And then it becomes a celebration of everyone's life. And I think it's lovely. I often ask, is there one or two things you want to leave the audience with so that they can remember, because they remember the end better than the beginning sometimes, but anything you think would be profound that might be other than go buy some pops? Where can I buy them?
You can buy them everywhere, but I think that for me is the meaning behind what you do. And what does this mean for you, and how does that relate to your life and your existence and who you're there with to share that? And I think that you need that in order to go forward. And don't feel alone when things are tough, because you're not alone and it feels really lonely. I always feel like I'm in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean sometimes, drowning in a storm. And remember that there's lifeboats there, if you just let yourself look for them. So it's all around us.
I love it. So for my audience, thank you for coming. Thank you for sending all of your great emails and bringing your friends and so forth. I'm delighted that, do you go by Dr. Dionne Baker?
Not just Dionne,
Dionne.
just
People ask
Dionne.
me, am I Dr. Simon? I said, well, you could, but I'm usually just
Yeah.
it's okay. But this has been such a real inspirational talk. I'm so glad you came. It's been wonderful. For our listeners, remember that, take your observations, turn them into innovations. Believe in yourself, have courage, be bold, be brave. It's okay. And if it doesn't work out, it's not a failure, it's a learning experience. And as you learn, you keep growing. At times you're going to cry. It's okay. We'll be here to hug you. But life is full of this wonderful opportunities to make life better for others. And as you do it, you make it better for yourself. So thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye. Have a wonderful day. And thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.